Nobody slept. The grey light came up over the lane and found 4 cups washed and put back on the shelf exactly where they had been the night before, because none of them could think of anything else to do with their hands. The old man was up first. He was thinner than he had been yesterday, a decade thinner, and when he lifted the kettle, he lifted it with one hand only, because the other would not hold steady long enough to be trusted with hot water. The young SAIYAN reached for his own name and found the same empty shelf he had found the night before. He knew the shape of the space it used to occupy. He knew the length of it and the sound it was supposed to make. What came out of him was air. The man with the rust-colored hair said it for him quietly, without making a thing of it, and somehow that was worse than the silence had been. The tall one stood at the window with a small handheld reader cupped in both palms, and he did not move for a long time. 2 figures crossed the little screen, and beside each of them a rate, and the 2 rates were not the same. He read it twice. He read it a 3rd time. Then he put the reader face down on the sill and said nothing at all, which told the room everything. The old man did the sum himself. He did it at the kitchen table, out loud, on his fingers, the way a man checks whether there is enough money left to see out the week. So much a day, so many days in a month. Carry the remainder. He got to the end of his fingers and he did not look frightened. He looked like a man who had found the answer he already suspected, and the answer was not in years. Because the arithmetic was one-sided and everybody in that kitchen could see it. The young one had decades of words to lose. He could give up 1,000 of them and still have language enough to argue with. The old one had months of years, and the closing was spending them at a speed neither of them had chosen, and neither could slow, and it would finish him long before it finished emptying the boy. Afterwards, the old man went out to the bench. He put 61 years of tools away, the awls first, then the knives, then the little curved blade he had ground down so far it was more handle than steel, then the last hammer, which he held for a moment before he set it in beside the rest. He laid them in order, he closed the lid on the box, and he did not open it again. The one with the rust-colored hair followed him out and stood beside the shed with his strapped arm held close to his chest, and the 2 of them looked at the frost on the lane instead of at each other. 2 men and no fight anywhere in either of them. Nothing to hit, nothing to shield. He did not smile. He had not smiled in days, and he did not start there. Then the old man came back inside, sat down in his own chair, put both hands flat on the table so they would stop shaking, and said it plainly, the way he had rehearsed it out at the bench. He would yield. It could be done. If the record needed one name to close on, then it would have his, and everybody could stop pretending there was a kinder version of this. The young one was on his feet before the sentence finished, fists down on the table, hard enough to jump the cups. No aura, nothing behind him but shaking. He said no. He said it 4 different ways, and every one of them came out missing the one word he had wanted to put in front of it, the word that would have made the refusal his own instead of just loud. The old man was almost smiling. 91 years, he said, is not a long time when you sit down and count it. But he had counted it, and it had come to enough. Bread out of an oven, boots mended properly, frost on a lane at 6 in the morning, a dog that had never been his, sleeping under his bench for 11 winters. The boy had been given none of that, and was owed all of it. Then the man with the rust-colored hair put his good arm out across the table between them, and his jaw was set, and he said the thing nobody else was willing to say. Taking it would be the same as killing him. Slower, politer, with tea on the table, but the same. And he would not stand in a warm kitchen and watch a man hand his life across a teapot as though it were the sugar. The record had 2 halves on it, and one of them was going dark. There was a line on that card that only went one direction, and it did not care which of the 2 names sat above it, and it had been falling for longer than any of them had been in that house. The tall one sat down slowly with the empty faceplate resting on his knees and told them the worst part in the flattest voice he had. Yielding cannot be prevented. It is not a door anybody else can stand in front of. Hers had done it while he was asleep in the next room, with his boots still on, and nobody got a vote, least of all him. At the end of it, the young one asked the old man for time. Not for a plan, not for a promise, just for time, and he asked it with his hands on the table and not touching. The old man looked at him for a while, at his own face 91 years younger, and said he would promise one thing only, and the one thing was this: not today. At dusk, the tall one climbed the ravine and told the propped-up prince all of it, while the wind came up off the rocks. The prince could not stand. He could barely turn his head. He listened to the whole thing, and when it was finished, he said, "Stop arguing with the men. Neither of them is the problem. Go at the record."